Welcome to Propeller Breeze, the show for student pilots, sim fans, and everyone chasing that first solo and beyond. All information in this podcast is for entertainment and general knowledge only. Always verify with certified flight instructors or regulatory authorities before attempting anything mentioned here.
All right, let's get into it. You're a student pilot, maybe just passed that pre-solo check ride, and your instructor drops the word stalls.
Yeah. And for a lot of students, that's where the nerves kick in a little bit, right?
Definitely. It feels like something you shouldn't be doing, almost counterintuitive, until you really grasp what's happening.
It really can be. And honestly, stalls, they're surrounded by quite a few myths. Even some seasoned pilots don't always have the physics nailed down perfectly.
But for you, the person learning to fly, getting this right isn't just, helpful. It's absolutely fundamental.
Couldn't agree more.
And that's our mission today on the Deep Dive. We're aiming for a really clear, focused look at aircraft stalls, one of the most vital but often misunderstood concepts in aviation.
Yeah. The goal is to cut through the complexity, bust some myths, and give you, the student pilot, a solid foundation.
Exactly. Practical knowledge you can use quickly without getting totally overwhelmed. And we're basing this on key insights pulled from understanding aircraft stalls and flight dynamics.
So where do we start? Well, the very first thing is to properly define what a stall actually is.
Right, because the big one, the main myth, is that the wing just stops flying, stops producing lift entirely.
That's the one. You hear stall, and you picture like a brick falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
But that's not quite it. A stall is really a rapid decrease in lift. It's not a total elimination of lift.
Okay, a decrease. And what causes that decrease?
It's caused by the airflow separating from the wing's surface. Basically, the air stops flowing smoothly over the top, and that separation happens when you exceed the wing's critical angle of attack, the AOA.
Angle of attack. That's the angle between the wing chord line and the oncoming air.
Precisely. And here's the really crucial bit, the part that surprises many. A stall can happen at any pitch attitude and any airspeed.
Any airspeed. That really throws people off. We always practice them slow.
We do, because that's a common scenario. Right. But it's not only a low-speed thing, it's all about that critical angle.
So let's hit that main myth again. The wing doesn't completely stop lifting.
No, it doesn't. It simply can't generate enough lift to sustain controlled, level flight. There's still some lift, just not adequate lift.
Okay. That's a critical distinction. How does the source explain that? Something about lift coefficient.
Yeah, it talks about the lift coefficient, or CL. As you increase the angle of attack, the CL increases up to a point.
That peak bumps.
That's called CLMX. Go beyond that critical AOA, past CL max, and the lift coefficient drops off sharply. But importantly, it doesn't go to zero.
Got it. So you lose effective flight, not necessarily all lift instantly.
Exactly. You're losing the ability to maintain that controlled flight path.
Okay, so if it's not just about speed and the wing keeps making some lift, how are wings actually designed with stalls in mind? Because they are designed for this, right? It's not an accident.
Oh, absolutely. It's very deliberate engineering, and it's all about safety and control. In most typical training aircraft, the straight wing pipes, the wing is designed so the stall starts at the wing root.
The root, so closest to the fuselage.
Correct. It begins there and then progresses outwards towards the wingtips.
And why do that? Why start it near the body of the plane?
It's all about maintaining control. Your ailerons, the controls that let you roll the aircraft, are out near the wingtips.
Right.
So if the root stalls first, the airflow over the wingtips is often still smooth, still attached. This means your ailerons remain effective for longer.
Ah, so you can still use them to keep the wings level or to help with the recovery.
Exactly. Imagine if the tip stalled first. You'd lose your roll control right when you need it most. That would make recovery significantly harder, maybe even impossible in some situations.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Smart design. How do they actually build wings to do that? Is it the shape?
It is. There are a couple of common techniques. One is called washout, where the wing is literally built with a slight twist.
A twist.
Yeah, so the angle of attack at the wing root is slightly higher than the angle of attack at the wingtip during normal flight. So the root naturally reaches its critical AOA first.
Clever. What's the other method?
Sometimes they install small metal strips, called stall strips, on the leading edge of the wing, but only near the root, maybe the inner 20–25%.
And these strips, they just mess up the airflow there.
Pretty much. They cause the airflow in that specific area to separate a bit earlier, ensuring the stall starts inboard near the root. It's all very intentional for controllability.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, so We know what a stall is, roughly how the wing is designed to handle it. But let's zero in on that moment it happens. You mentioned the critical angle of attack. Is there, like, one rule to rule them all here?
This is probably the single most important concept for a student pilot to really internalize. Forget obsessing over a specific stall speed number on your airspeed indicator.
Why? Isn't there a published stall speed?
There is, but the actual speed at which an aircraft stalls can change based on weight, load factor, bank angle, density, altitude, lots of things.
Okay.
BUT, and this is the crucial part.
Mm.
A specific aircraft always stalls at the same critical angle of attack. Always.
Regardless of anything else.
Right.
Weight, speed, altitude.
Regardless. Whether you're light or heavy, going fast or slow, pulling G's in a turn or flying straight and level, hit that one specific angle and the wing will stall.
Wow. Okay. So that angle is the constant. What is that angle typically?
For most light aircraft, it's somewhere in the range of, say, 16 to 20 degrees, depending on the specific airfoil design. But for your specific aircraft, there's just one critical AOA.
That actually simplifies things mentally. Focus
Yeah.
on the AOA, not just the speed number.
That's the key takeaway. That's the aha moment.
Right. Now, thinking about recovery. Most training planes, when they stall, the nose tends to drop, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is that designed in, and how does the center of gravity, the CG, play into this?
That nose-down tendency is a critical design feature for recovery. It's generally because the center of lift, where the wing's lift effectively acts, is designed to be slightly behind the aircraft's center of gravity.
Okay, lift behind the balance point.
So, when the wing stalls and lift dramatically decreases, that upward force from the wing reduces, and the downward force usually generated by the tail might also change. This creates an imbalance.
An imbalance that makes the nose pitch down naturally.
Exactly. The nose drops, which automatically reduces the angle of attack below the critical point. The wing starts flying again, airflow reattaches, lift comes back. It's a built-in recovery mechanism.
But this relies on things being balanced correctly, doesn't it? That's where CG comes in.
Absolutely crucial. This is why operating within the aircraft's specified CG range is so vital, not just for performance, but for stall recovery.
Why is being outside the CG range, especially too far aft, so dangerous in a stall?
Well, think about it. If the CG is too far back, closer to or even behind the center of lift, the aircraft might not have that natural nose-down tendency.
Okay.
Worse, the elevator, which you use to push the nose down, might not have enough authority, enough leverage to force the nose down against the aerodynamic forces.
So you could push the control forward, but the nose doesn't drop enough to lower the AOA.
Precisely. You could find yourself unable to generate enough nose-down pitching moment to break the stall. An aft CG stall can become unrecoverable. It really drives home why weight and balance calculations are non-negotiable.
That's a serious point.
Yeah.
It's not just paperwork. Okay, we've established stalls aren't just low-speed events. Let's break down those three main situations where you might encounter one. Low speed, high speed, and turns.
Right. The low-speed stall is the classic one we practice. You're flying along, maybe slowing down for landing, and to maintain altitude as your airspeed decreases, you have to keep increasing the pitch attitude.
Which increases the angle of attack.
Exactly. You keep pulling back, increasing AOA until you finally exceed the critical angle, and oops, the airflow separates. Buffet, then the stall.
Familiar territory for students. Now, the high-speed one. This still feels weird. How can you stall going fast?
Yeah, it's less intuitive. Picture this. You're in a dive, maybe recovering from an unusual attitude, doing 100 knots, maybe more, and you pull back really aggressively on the controls.
Okay, pulling back hard.
Now, the plane's actual flight path doesn't change instantly because of inertia and gravity, but by yanking back, you've dramatically and suddenly changed the wing's angle of attack relative to the airflow.
Ah, so the angle changes sharply even if the plane hasn't slowed down yet.
Right. You can pitch the nose up so aggressively that the AOA instantly jumps from maybe low to way past the critical 1620 degrees. So the stall happens at a much higher airspeed than your normal, gentle entry stall speed. It's about the rate of AOA change.
Wow, okay, that clarifies it. It's the abrupt demand for lift. And the third one, stalls in a turn. I remember learning the stall speed increases in a turn.
It does. And the reason is load factor. When you bank the aircraft to turn, you need more total lift to counteract not just weight, but also the centrifugal force pulling you outwards.
So the wing has to work harder in a turn.
That's correct. It feels heavier to the wings. And how do you get that extra lift? You apply back pressure on the elevator.
Which, again, increases the angle of attack.
You got it. The steeper the bank, the more back pressure you need, the higher the load factor, and the higher the AOA gets for a given speed. if you pull back too much in that turn, increasing the AOA past the critical point, stall, even at a relatively high airspeed.
So turning flight inherently brings you closer to the critical AOA if you're not careful with speed and back pressure.
That's a good way to put it. It reduces your margin above the stall.
Okay, let's walk through the full cycle. The wing stalls. What happens next, frame by frame almost, during the recovery?
So at the instant of the stall, that upward lift from the wing significantly decreases. At the same time, the forces on the tail change. You get this sudden, unbalanced condition.
And that imbalance leads to?
The nose pitching down, often quite abruptly. The aircraft pivots around its center of gravity.
That's the designed-in tendency we talked about.
Right. Now, as the nose drops, two things happen. The angle of attack decreases below the critical point, and because you're pointing downwards, airspeed starts to increase.
So gravity helps you out there.
It does.
Yeah.
With the AOA reduced and airspeed picking up, the smooth airflow over the wing reattaches, lift is restored, and the aircraft begins flying again.
It sounds like a neat self-correcting cycle, if managed right.
It is, fundamentally. But here's the crucial part for any pilot, especially students. This whole process takes time, and more importantly, it takes altitude.
It's not instantaneous recovery.
Not at all. You can lose a significant amount of altitude from the moment the stall occurs, to the point where you're back in stable, controlled flight. That's why practicing stall recognition and recovery is so important, and why doing it at a safe altitude is mandatory. You need that buffer.
Absolutely. Losing altitude near the ground. That's the danger zone. Now, shifting slightly, let's talk about something that can change that critical AOA without you even realizing it initially. Icing.
Yes, a huge factor, especially for GA aircraft. Ice, snow, even just a layer of frost on the wing. It's incredibly disruptive.
How does it disrupt things?
Yeah.
It adds weight, obviously.
It does add weight, which isn't good, but the aerodynamic effect is often far more dangerous. It completely changes the shape of the airfoil. That smooth, carefully designed curve is now rough and misshapen.
And that affects the airflow.
Dramatically. It causes that boundary layer, the smooth air clinging to the wing, to separate much earlier. It trips the airflow.
The wing stalls at a lower angle of attack than normal.
Exactly, much lower. The critical AOA is reduced, sometimes significantly. You stall sooner, with less warning, and at a higher airspeed than you'd expect for your clean wing. Lift is reduced, drag is increased. It ruins the wing's performance.
Is there data on how much ice causes problems?
There is, and it's sobering. The source mentions that as little as 0.8 millimeters of ice, that's like the thickness of coarse sandpaper on the upper surface, can increase drag and cut your lift by 25%.
25% lift reduction from barely visible ice.
Wow, it's a massive impact. And like you said, it's a double whammy. Increased weight, decreased lift capability.
And you mentioned smaller aircraft are more vulnerable.
Generally, yes. They fly at lower altitudes where icing is common, especially in clouds during colder months. And they usually don't have the wing heating systems that jets use to prevent or shed ice.
So when should pilots be most vigilant about this? What conditions create icing?
Basically, visible moisture clouds, fog, sometimes even rain when the outside air temperature is near or below freezing. The real trap is supercooled water droplets.
Water that's still liquid below freezing.
Correct. Liquid water droplets can exist in the atmosphere at temperatures well below 0 degrees C or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. When your aircraft, flying through these conditions, strikes these droplets, they freeze instantly on impact.
So you can be flying in temps below freezing, not see ice forming immediately, but if you enter a cloud, bang.
Bang! Ice starts building up fast. That's why checking freezing levels and pileups for icing is so critical in your pre-flight weather briefing. Never take chances with potential icing.
This has been incredibly useful. We've covered a lot of ground, from the basic physics to design, recovery, and hazards like icing. Let's try to boil it down. What are the absolute must-remember takeaways for a student pilot listening to this?
Okay, number 1. Stalls are about angle of attack. Critical AOA specifically, not just airspeed. Get that locked in.
Got it. AOA is king.
Number 2. Understand the 3 main ways you can exceed that critical AOA: too slow, too abrupt a pull-up, even at high speed, and too much back pressure in a turn.
Low speed, high speed, turning stalls. Check.
Number 3. Respect the center of gravity limits, especially that aft limit. Your ability to recover depends on it.
Weight and balance matters for stall recovery. Crucial.
And number 4. Never, ever underestimate icing. Even a tiny amount drastically degrades performance and lowers the stall AOA. Be paranoid about it.
Okay, those are solid takeaways. So how should you, the listener, apply this?
Think about these concepts during your pre-flight planning. When you do weight and balance, remember why that CG range is critical. When you get a weather brief, actively look for icing potential in freezing levels.
And in the air.
Connect this knowledge to the maneuvers you practice. When you practice slow flight, feel the controls getting mushy, recognize that increasing AOA. When you practice steep turns, be aware of the increased load factor and the need for careful pitch control. Understand why the plane behaves the way it does.
It's about moving from just mimicking the instructor to truly understanding the aerodynamics at play. This deep dive should really help build that clearer picture, making you safer and more confident.
Definitely. So here's a final thought to leave you with. Now that you really understand, that a stall is fundamentally about angle of attack, not just speed. How does that change how you think about other maneuvers? Maybe even something basic like takeoff rotation or flare for landing. How does this AOA-centric view shift your perspective on everyday flying?
Something to definitely ponder. It changes how you view the relationship between the aircraft and the air itself.
That's it for this episode. Keep your wings level, your brain sharp, and catch you next time in the pattern. Thanks for riding with Propeller Breeze.